Right, I'm just going to do a quick video today. Hopefully between showers. We've had a lot of rain here in the last couple of days and it's sort of held me up a wee bit. Now you can see probably by my thumbnail, I took a tumble a couple of days ago. And I'm just going to talk here about what happened and what it made me think about going forward. Okay, so what happened was I was down in my kitchen and walking round towards the kitchen bench, and you know there's always these lumps that pop up in the floor in front of you. They keep moving around the house. I jest. No, I tripped, just caught my foot on the floor, and as I went to step forward to grab hold of the bench, I wasn't quite as close as I thought it was. And I reached out, went to grab the bench and caught the edge of the bench, bruised a couple of fingers, and then I'm not quite sure what happened after that, but I bruised this part here on my chest. And it's come up in a real big bruise and it's sore and it's quite hard to breathe at times. But anyway, then I hit the floor and I landed on my left hand side, and that wasn't enough, but as I finally hit the floor, my head smacked into the cupboards beside me, hence this here. So I was lying there thinking what a stupid idiot I am. I got up, I was okay, but pride was hurt a wee bit, but I got up and walked around and nothing was broken. And as the day went on, I sort of got a bit more painful. The bruises started to come out, but it was all right. I, didn't do anything about it. And the next day when I got up, I saw that my face had all bruised, and my hips got a big bruise on it, and my chest had a big bruise on it. And it is still quite hard to breathe. I don't think I didn't break anything, but it is quite hard as I try to breathe in. But what this made me think about was how lucky that I am that I'm here. On that particular day, I had my daughter working downstairs. She works from home most days, goes into the office a couple of days a week. But she was home downstairs, and if necessary, I could have just banged on the floor until she came up to see what happened. But I was okay. I got up off the floor, and that was fine. And I keep thinking about what would have happened if she hadn't been downstairs and it had been a bit more serious than it actually was. So the first thing I kept thinking about was probably the first thing I would do would be to try and get up, but that would be out of the question if I had a broken bone or a broken hip or something like that. So I guess the only thing I could have done was to have either waited till she came home, which would have been a couple of hours later, or tried to holler out thinking that someone might hear me in the neighbourhood. I don't know. I really didn't want to think too much about it. It was quite sort of thinking, oh, what am I going to do? But anyway, it made me then aware of how vulnerable we are as we get older. As you know, I'm 74. I try to be as independent as I can, even though I've got people around me. I try to just keep doing things as I would under normal circumstances. But just now and again you find that things sort of, jump out in front of you and muck your plans up a wee bit. And as that's what happened to me. But as I said, I was lucky that I was able to get up off the floor. Nothing was broken. Other than the pride, nothing was bruised. And I've been able to carry on. Somewhat slowly. As I say, it's a bit hard breathing. But I get there. My daughter was concerned, you want to go to the doctor? And I says, well, what are they going to do? Probably give me some painkillers and say, just be careful. And I said, I know, I've already told myself that. But it made me think then, now what if I had been here alone? And what about the huge number of people that are elderly, that are on their own, and don't have ready access to people to call out to when something like this goes wrong. Not everybody has regular visitors that pop over and check on them. But there's not everyone has people knocking on the door trying to sell stuff. And it puts you in quite a predicament of what would you do if in the case where you did have a fall and you broke something, especially as you're getting older. Broken hips is very common. That happened to my mum when she was here. She tripped and broke a hip, ended up in hospital. And when you're lying on the ground with a broken hip, there's not really a lot you can do. So it just made me think about the emergency alarms that you can get. Now, my mum did have an alarm. You can get them here through the St John's ambulance, and she had one that was a chain round her neck, so that if anything happened and she hurt either of her arms, she could still access the button. She was advised not to have one of those that you can put on your wrist, because if you happen to break the wrist that you need to push the button, then you're in dire straits if you can't do that. So the one that she had was a chain round her neck with a little thing on it with a button on it. And she used it, I think, once when she was here, I think she had a fall, and no, she didn't use it, I used it. When she did have her fall, instead of ringing the ambulance, the emergency, I just pressed the button of her alarm. The alarm centre rang her straight back. I answered the phone and said who I was, what had happened, and they did advise me that was the best thing to do rather than trying to ring the ambulance. Even if you're there with someone who's got an emergency alarm, that goes straight through to the emergency centre and they deal with you straight away. They've got all your details there. So if you do have, you're in the company of someone that's got one of those emergency buttons or whatever, and they have an accident, push the button. Don't just ring the ambulance or whatever the emergency number. If you push the button, they respond straight away and they get somebody there to get you sorted out as soon as possible. So that made me think of the importance. I knew it was important when she had hers, but it made me realise the importance for people that are alone, that they do get one of those emergency alarms. Now, I'm not going to be staying here very long talking. Reason being is I came out here thinking, good, it's nice and sunny, I'll come out here and do a video. And can you believe it has already started raining again? So I'm going to end this video and I'm going to go inside. This has been my life for the last couple of days. It rains, it's sunny, it rains, it's sunny. But never mind, that's what life's all about. So anyway, just that little video from me today. If this is your first time here, thank you for popping by. If you've come back from a previous visit, thank you for coming back. And I will wish everybody stay safe, take care, and have a good day. And I will hopefully see you on the next one. Okay then, bye-bye.